What's up, traders? Welcome to the Day Trading Show. Today, we sit down with my co-host, James Bruce. Everybody knows Mr. Brucey, and our special guest, Sean from ConquerFX. Sean is inching forward, putting his face out there, building the personal brand behind his well-known trading brand. A lot of you guys know him from Twitter and Instagram, so you're going to enjoy this conversation. We talk about mindset, strategy, focus, morning routine, mentorship, all of the things that are important. And Sean brings a really simplistic yet effective perspective. So sit back and enjoy the episode. Make sure you check all the links down below. I've got a bunch of special stuff for you guys linked down there. Now enjoy the podcast. All right, traders, we're back. We've got another exciting episode. Today, we are sitting down with Sean from ConquerFX, all over Instagram, all over Twitter. You guys have definitely seen his stuff. If you haven't, you're living under a rock. We've got my co-host, James, is here as well. And we're going to talk today, not just about markets and strategy. We're going to talk about brand building, content creation, maybe sprinkle a little bit of some Twitter beef and some Twitter drama in there. Right, Sean? It should be a good conversation.
Yeah, it's 100%, 100%.
It's good to have you, bro. It's really good to have you. James, it's good to be sitting with you as well. When we set this up, I know you two were kind of communicating via Twitter to make this happen. I think James kind of set you over the edge, but this is your first podcast, you said, right, Sean, to really get yourself out there, put the face to the brand a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. So I have James to thank for that 100%. He's kind of pulled me out of that hole and kind of made me, just kind of start posting more, I suppose, personal content with my face out there. And, it was kind of like I'm more of a kind of private guy. So I said, right, it's time to take that step, people want to see, who's sending out all this advice. So, it was about time. And it was something that I just need to do to step out of my comfort zone a little bit,
Dude, and that's where all the growth is found, right? When we step out. You've done a really good job, bro. You don't only make your own content, and I do want to talk about this later, but you don't just make your own content, you repurpose content. You've taken some of my clips, put them in black and white, and you made them look sick. So you've been kind of like using other people to like leverage your own brand. And by doing it in a good way and building a good reputation with people like me, I think it's really worked out well for you. So I commend you on that. And with this being your first podcast, I think it's probably important for us to introduce you the right way. So let me pass you the microphone before James takes it from both of us, as he always does and talks it up, right? No, I'm just kidding. Let me pass the microphone to you, Sean. Introduce yourself a little bit to the community. Tell everybody where you're from, how long you've been trading, why did you start the brand instead of put your own face and all that stuff.
Right. So as Austin said, my name's Sean. A lot of you know me from ConquerFX. On Instagram, kind of started posting on Twitter lately and kind of branching into YouTube a little bit as well. When it comes to trading style, I suppose you would kind of put me in the bracket of, kind of a price action statistical trader. I kind of started off more in the swing style. And as you grow and kind of develop more, you start to find your style, what works for you, what comes a bit more naturally to you. Where your strengths lie and all that, and kind of fell more into the intraday space then. So a lot of my trades I'll be in and out kind of within an hour or two, sometimes less. It really depends. But initially kind of got into I suppose an interest in trading when I was around 16 or so, was probably when, I was like, okay, this is something I'm interested in, but I wouldn't say I was necessarily taking it very seriously. It was just kind of, I would call it a hobby at the time more than anything. And then, with regards to Conquer and stuff, like why, kind of just keep it more of a quiet brand. At the time, I suppose we'll talk about it here as well. I was trying to build up a startup at the moment as well, at that time when I first started Conquer. But that was also at the time when trading was starting to get quite serious for me. So I was kind of in two minds of putting my face out in this kind of startup company and then just being able to still give advice and share my passion on psychology and statistics and things like that through my page. And then eventually, I was already thinking about it for some time. I was always saying to my girlfriend recently that I think it's about time to just kind of start picking up the camera and just, start showing my face. And when James sent me the message, I kind of took that as a sign to, basically give myself a kick in the ass and, start getting on podcasts and sharing what I know and stuff that I've helped many traders with already. So it's blessed to have a platform like that as well to help others,
I love that. Why, first question from me, and then I'm sure James has some. Why only Forex? I know when we were speaking before and we were talking about what markets you trade. Why only Forex, even though you have years of experience? Did you used to trade other markets and you've come back to Forex, or have you always been a Forex first kind of guy?
Yeah, so quite honestly, it's no real big story around it. It's just what I started with. It's what I can't remember the exact moment. Whatever sparked the interest, it was like, oh, Forex, what's that? Essentially just dived in, and I would be the type of person who, if I find something that I think clicks with me, I get kind of obsessed about it. And you'll kind of find it hard to pull me away from the computer. And yeah, just kind of dived into it from there. And then one thing I've always realized was that, you don't need to know everything to be successful. That's something that I've realized. I don't need to dive into all these other markets. So I put my time into one, said I'm going to be the best I can possibly be at that. And that was just kind of my mindset with it. And yeah, so far it's paid off. Touch wood.
What pairs specifically do you like trading?
So specifically Euro dollar, I've about 6 main ones. So Euro dollar, dollar CAD, dollar Swiss, pound dollar, pound yen. And then sometimes I'll kind of jump into pound Australian dollar as well.
Love that. Out of all of that, do you document and track your trades in any specific way? Or are you the kind of trader that just trades and wakes up the next day and trades again? Like, what's your documentation and your analysis, like journaling process look like?
Yeah, so for me, I've always been a very, very big pusher on journaling, collecting statistics, all of that kind of comes into the journaling process, let's say, even down to the psychological stuff. So for me, it's, anything that can be automated will be automated. Anything that, I need to kind of give maybe my own thoughts and how my kind of intuition was before the trade. I'll do that at the end of the day. A lot of people will kind of journal their trades the minute they exit the trade, and then they actually don't get the full broader picture of what happened. Maybe they were trading London and then they're missing out on necessary data as, New York has played out, which could provide more of an edge to them as well. So a lot of the time I'll take my trades. Primarily, I've only lately really summed down to just the London session. So I find that I'll take my trades like today, took a trade on pound yen. Now, after this podcast, before I finish up here in the office, I'll journal that. I'll write up my daily report card. I'll assign one goal to become better tomorrow. I'll assign basically, or I'll write down what was the best trading setup of the day. And I'll do that every day that I trade. And at the end of the week, I'll focus in on what was the best trade setup out of all those days. And that will go into a PDF where basically by the end of the year, it's kind of developing a playbook in itself of what are my best trade setups. So it's just something that I do, and it allows you to kind of dial more in on what your playbook is. I find playbooks are extremely important as the trader. I think people trade with a lot, or with basically with a lack of clarity. And I think journaling can allow people to really focus in on what are those weak points. And especially if you're looking into like the psychology side of things, which I suppose a lot of people would know me in from Conquer from basically like this my psychological point of view on things. And I think if you're mapping out triggers, behaviors, things like this, you'll start to notice that a lot of your psychological problems are probably coming from a lack of clarity behind what you're actually looking for in the market. So, it could be simple things like when you're in a trade, if you start documenting your thoughts and things like this, which I will do on a day-to-day basis. So I've only brought another strategy live recently, and I noticed that my trade management was very, very weak, a lot weaker than I originally thought for my back testing. And I found different questions coming up like, should I be moving break even here, et cetera, et cetera. And those questions are the exact triggers for where you need to align your focus to spot those weaknesses in your strategy. And then by actually strengthening those parts of your edge, you're able to bring up your performance, you're able to be more of a confident trader, but you can only really spot those weaknesses by journaling in the first place. So yeah, journaling is a big part of my day-to-day, really, to be honest.
Great answer. I love all of that. When you journal, so we did a little big picture now. We kind of know who you are a little bit. People are thinking, all right, I listened to this podcast about day trading, and I know all of these guys that Austin talks to talk about journaling in a different way. Where did it click for you? Let's make it relatable to the audience. When did you realize, like, I need to be journaling? Was it something you heard on YouTube? Was it something you were just frustrated with your own losses? Like, when can someone that's listening to this know, if you're not journaling, this is the sign to start?
Well, I suppose for me, what clicked was, it's like when you hit rock bottom with anything. So in trading, I suppose that's blowing an account or anything like that. When you hit rock bottom, you've two choices. You've either the choice to give up, or you've the choice to put your head down and find a solution to this. So during those times where you're full of uncertainty or anything like that, where you need to find a solution to, maybe you're in extreme drawdown or through a really rough losing period, if you really want to pursue it, you're forced to go and look for a solution. And the one thing that traders forget is they get very, very bored by the trade, by journaling and all of this. They're like, I couldn't be bothered to journal. Like, that just seems like the most boring process ever. And it is boring. Like, really, for me, I find it extremely boring. It's not exciting at all. But you only thank yourself for journaling when those pain points come up. Because now, if you have a process for identifying those pain points, you can come to your journal, and I like to call it the 7 pillars. So I like to basically summarize things. It's like, what is any average trading strategy? What core components does it have? It has its entry, its exit, its trade management, risk management, price levels, price positioning, and timing. So if you split all those categories down and you start running through, when you have a problem, you start running through these pillars and you say to yourself, okay, well, what pillar is clearly failing at the moment? What is changing, or what is not performing as well? When I start assigning where the problem is, I can go to my journal then, see what I did differently, see what's happening now that's not performing as well, and then I can assign my focus to the correct pillar that needs to be fixed, essentially. So like I said, it's only when you're in the shit that you wish you journaled. And 100%. It's like those consistent habits that you just need to do on a day-to-day basis as a trader. It's like I always say, you need to master the basics. A lot of these people now who are even sharing educational content, they're trying to sprint before they can even crawl. They haven't even mastered the basics yet. And the basics are journaling. That is the basics of you being able to really spot your weaknesses. Where am I not performing so well? What strengths can I leverage on? And what do I need to bring up a little bit to be able to perform at your own highest potential, And journaling allows you to do that, really it does, when you do it right.
What is the difference between price positioning and price? What was the other one? You said price positioning and price levels?
So price positioning and just, as I call it, just price. Okay. So I would call price the price level you want to trade at. So like for someone who wants to use quarter theory, so trading at whole levels, quarter, half, etc., that would be for an example of price. And then price positioning in my case would be, I'm primarily trading from the higher low of the day. Everything inside the extremes of the daily high and low boundaries is noise to me, unless I'm looking for a continuational trade. So even bringing clarity to where you want price to be positioned to pull that trigger, there's no second guessing then, it's all about clarity.
I love that. Thank you for clearing that up. That's really good detail. Were you going to say something there, James?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's actually funny you bring this up. I was actually speaking about this on stream this morning about journaling, because I took a step away from journaling for about a month, and then Austin was on my case about, no, you need to get back into it, because that it's like a focal point of trading. I think
on your case, bro, that's putting it lightly. I almost flew over to South Africa and beat that ass, bro. Come on.
Exactly. Hopefully the listeners don't take that the wrong way. But anyway,
they're gonna be like, did Austin just say he wants to beat that guy's ass?
Yeah, so I was speaking about so I've got back into journaling now. I've took about a month off. I was just I was such in a flow state, but I realized that journaling is if you discipline in your journaling, it actually helps you. It's a core aspect of doing the basics while in journaling. I was speaking about what you're saying also about how journaling helps you is you always can focus on what you need to improve, right? You might be good at reading the market and whatever, but your weakness is maybe over trading. If you can bring the lower half up and make it more at a baseline, and keep your strengths as your strengths, you actually improve your whole trading. It's what Jared Tendler speaks about, improving your C game. So yeah, maybe just speak about how do you start journaling for someone that's never journaled before? How do you actually get into the process of journaling, and what does that look like?
Yeah, right. So I think, I'm a big believer in, if you simplify shit, you'll understand shit better. Okay. So I think if we just start off with, essentially the best way I can explain it to someone who's just starting off completely, it's like, number one, the way I journal might not work essentially for you. Okay. So I might find something works very well for me, and you might find that you prefer to automate stuff. You might prefer that you even record your trades and speak out loud and things like that. Okay. So you will have to go through a trial and error process. But I do believe if you start off with something basic and understand that there's kind of two core components, or you can split them up into two different categories of, the kind of visual journaling or visual data of taking before and after screenshots and putting notes about actually visually training the eye to see what you're looking for. And then we go into kind of the more detailed stuff of the write up before that of, how are you feeling? How was your sleep? Like such a basic thing that people overlook. But yes, if you don't get sufficient amount of sleep, there's literally studies done on this, we're known to risk your opportunities. Simple questions like this, dialing in with yourself, seeing how you were before the trade. And then kind of, what are your thoughts in the trade? How did you feel after? What did you expect and what didn't take place? Did you stick to your plan? Even I saw that you were talking in your recent podcast with Sam, and you were talking about Tom Dante, and he has this simple idea, but it's just brilliant. And I believe, I could be wrong here, but I believe he calls it the demon finder. And it's basically, you tick off if you exited the trade too early, if you entered with too much risk, too little risk, etc. And you do this like 5 times. By the time you've ticked it off, it's a problem that you need to fix. It's clearly a problem that you need to fix. So even doing simple processes like that will get you started. But I think if you can split it up into just taking before and after screenshots, the visual side of things, and then also dialing in with yourself, the process before you took the trade, how you felt when you were in the trade, and what did you expect. And also another good thing is, if you write down what you expected before the trade, and as you're in the trade itself, write down how maybe your view on the trade started to change and why. That can also provide some actually necessary data for what's your thought process in the trade. And then obviously what happened after that. And I think people, if you're struggling with journaling as well, if you find it boring, a simple thing that's helped me is using it as kind of a goal setter. So every day when I journal, and I say this to the people I work with on a day-to-day basis, I'm like, just assign one goal tomorrow that you need to improve on, your performance today, because everyone's trying to get the best strategy and the highest risk reward and the best entry, when a trader's wealth is directly determined by their own performance. This is a performance game. So if you're able to assign a 1% goal, and even start off, if you want to start off with journaling like that, what did I do well today and what didn't I do so well? Start off with a 1% goal that you want to fix tomorrow. I want to become 1% better in timing my entries, maybe betting a bit larger on those trades. I might have been a little bit too conservative today. And just let those small wins compound over time. And basing those goals off whatever you journaled in your actual trading journal itself. So yeah, that's what I would say. Basically, thoughts, what you were thinking before, in the trade, after the trade, and then visual data then as well, basic screenshots. We don't need to overcomplicate it too much.
I like what you said. Yeah. I like all of that. And I like even that you mentioned tracking the mistakes. That's something we do with the mentorship program we have. It's in the spreadsheet every day. There's 15 mistakes. I entered too early. I entered too late. I traded too big. I traded too small. I got out too early, or it lists out every mistake. I was influenced to take a trade. I traded a pair that's not on my watch list. And then it's crazy to see month over month how just bringing awareness to, hey, last month, my mistake was I traded too big more days, or I traded too small, right? Oh, you traded too small last month. Okay, for the next 4 weeks, each week, we're going to track and talk and make sure we don't continue to let that be the biggest mistake. It's crazy. Just awareness can help people stop making that their big mistake. Now, would you agree when you pull back one mistake in trading, because you have a couple of years experience, Sean, so you pull back one mistake and then another mistake comes out. You're smiling because you know what I was going to say, right?
Yeah. I often say to the people that kind of come into the mentorship or even just message me on Instagram, you find a solution to their problem, and then all of a sudden next week they're messaging you going, man, I've got this. I'm going to be funded X, Y, and Z. And it's the minute you think you know it all in these markets is when you quickly get humbled and slapped in the face with another problem that you need to fix. And it's just, that overconfidence again creeping in. So yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that. The minute you think you have it, the minute you think, you've solved one problem, you're on to the next. But I think there's definitely something to learn there, that's focusing on one thing at a time it is essential. Like, people try to do so many things at once, and like I said, people are trying to sprint before they can even crawl. And if you can actually, like, if it means that you have to start over, like honestly start over and build a new identity of what you think a trader is, and really just literally just start brand new and set new foundations. If you have to do that, do it, because if you're really in for the long term, it won't make such a difference. And if you just stay on a path of, I guess, finding those solutions and just find the solutions to those problems, just peeling it back and seeing the next problem, if you keep doing that, those wins will compound over time. Those 1% wins every day compound over time.
I love that. You got something, James? I got a question. You got one?
Yeah, I got one.
All right, you go first.
Let's see. Okay, I'll go. So you mentioned here as well, you've mentioned a couple of times about mentorship, and that's one of the things in your responses here about what was the aha moment in your trading career? You said getting a mentor and focusing on one thing. Could you just elaborate on why you think that that is important? Because I think definitely in today's modern day and age, obviously mentorship is so accessible, free mentorship on the internet and everything, but not everything is of value, right? Is the right mentorship. So maybe just elaborate on that, and then also focusing on one thing. Why? What do you mean by focusing on one thing? Do you mean one setup, one entry criteria, and that sort of thing? So maybe just elaborate on those two points.
Yeah. So with getting a mentor, one thing you have to realize is, and I think Alex Hormozy said something like this very similar. I know I got this from somewhere. It's not from me anyway. So, but the only way to buy time is to buy people's mistakes. And that's why, investing in a mentor can save you so much time, because in either way, you're going to pay. You're going to pay with your time in the length it takes you to get where you want to be, or you're going to pay with cash to get the answers that you want now and the solutions that you want now. So really, it's down to what path you want to take and how quickly do you want to get there. So that's the first thing when it comes to mentoring. The second thing why I think mentoring is so important is because if you have the right mentor, they'll call you out on your bullshit every day of the week. There's these little things that we pick up in our subconscious mind, these little habits, routines, our view on the world, our view on risk and money. It all depends on how we've been brought up. And sometimes you just need someone who's in a situation, or in a situation that you want to be in someday, to kind of change your perspective on life and everything else. And I would also say that when it comes to like mentoring, like don't think about how much money you have to invest into your education or anything like this. It's what value can they provide. Like that was such a big mental shift for me. Like I'm not sure if we'll get into it here or whatever, but when I was starting my own trading journey, I remember literally going to the bank and taking out loans of like 5,000, 6,000 euro to invest in these people who have had, institutional experience or have started their own funds of millions and things like this. And I just understood that was the cost of getting in with these people. And I can very well learn from someone on YouTube. I can very well go to someone whose experience goes as far as trading a prop account, let's say. But there's so much more to this game than just what order block can you trade from, or what trend line are you going to mark up in your chart, and etc. That's not even the driving factor of the market, but that's the way it's sold. That's the way it's sold. So I think mentoring is a crucial part. And I think that if you're stuck in a hole and you really, really want to be successful here, the correct mentor could be your missing part at the moment. And when I talk about the one thing, it's actually, this thought process comes from a book called The One Thing. It's got nothing to do with trading. It's more, I suppose, productivity or performance, I suppose.
Is that the Gary Keller book?
Yes, it is indeed. Yeah. I think I have, no, sorry, I thought I had it there, but I was going to show you that my whole
I've
book,
met Gary Keller, bro. That book is amazing. That was one of the first motivational books that I ever read. Yeah, I've met him before.
Yeah, there's so many valuable lessons in there. But one thing that I took away from it was understanding, willpower and thinking power. And when I say one thing, it's that a lot of people are spreading their focus thin by trying all these different strategies and trying to learn all these different things with all these different mentors who have all these different views on the market. They're trying to do so many things. And what happens is willpower is kind of like a muscle. This is what Gary Keller says. He's like, willpower is kind of like a muscle. It's like when you're doing reps in the gym and all of a sudden you're doing bicep curls or whatever. And at first, your form is good, but after a while, you start to get sloppy and, your muscles get tired. And willpower is the same. And the more willpower you assign to a task, the less thinking power you have. And the more tasks that are involved, the less thinking power you can assign to each task that you're trying to complete. So if you take this idea and put this into your trading, into how many sessions are you trading, how many different setups do you have in your playbook, how many hours a day are you sitting at that chart watching every single tick, just blindly looking at that chart and thinking even going on up here into what is hacking. And you can even take this into your back testing. It's like back testing is great, full believer in this, 100%. But I mean, back testing with a purpose is important. It's everything else. You might as well just, go out and do something else, because back testing is not coming to the chart and just blindly using the trading view replay tool. You have to back test with purpose.
Yeah.
What do you want to improve on today? And focus on that one thing and assign your focus to improving on that one thing for that single hour. And you'll slowly see your performance just compound and get better over and over again, instead of trying to split it across so many different things. And it's the same thing with one thing, where I find that even when people find the power of statistics, let's say in trading and working with the numbers and things like that, it kind of opens up a whole new view of the markets, something that a lot of people haven't experienced before. And I think it's really the first time that a lot of people feel confidence in their trading, because now they've realized, okay, if I'm executing the edge, the edge will start to do the hard work essentially, okay, in a basic sense. But I find that a lot of people then start testing so many different things, so many different patterns. And although that is good and it's important to get a broader view of what you're doing and a general understanding and develop this experience, that can be detrimental to your success at the very beginning, because you start to add in so many different things. You get sloppy with your testing and everything else. You're much more better off, and you'll actually get your destination a lot further if you just assign the focus to one thing. What do you want to fix today? What do you want to test today? What do you want to improve on this week, this month, this year? And just slow down. Like, if the more you're trying to rush, the further it's getting away from you. It's honestly, it's a weird way the universe works, and I don't understand it myself. But when you slow down and you check in on yourself and you assign goals and focus on that one thing each day that you want to improve on, it will compound over time, and you'll see the power, as Gary Keller says, the power of one thing.
So absolutely, that was very well said. Talk about focus though, because you keep talking about, like, in that sense, the willpower and really like talking about determination, but really it sounds like you're saying focus. Like, it's like lapse in focus is what is the root of the problems, because if you were focused on making that 1% improvement, you wouldn't be distracted with all of these other things, right? So maybe speak on focus and how you would recommend, or how you specifically stay focused, meditation, anything like that. Like, how does focus play into this conversation? Because I think that's important.
Yeah, no, 100%. You have me spot on there. Focus is something that is quite overlooked in the trading game, to be honest.
I agree.
You could have a trader who has an amazing strategy, has had the best mentor, great psychological foundations,
tons of bankroll.
Exactly. but they've no focus. They can't even execute the trade. They can't even focus in on what's happening now, reading price, gaining a larger picture of the context that's happening right in front of them. And I think focus, like anything, starts off with just basic wins and discipline. You know, literally, like, can you put the phone away? Like, I only put a tweet out recently, like, you're on Twitter right now and you're meant to be trading. Like, are you serious? Like,
that's good, bro. That's good. I like that.
But that's what's happening. Like, you can't even, sign off 2 hours of your day of focus to just dialing in on something that you say that you want. Dude,
it's hard. I mean, but it's hard. Think about it. Because, like, how many times are you sitting down to take a shit and you're just stuck scrolling and you can't stop? It's true, bro. I'm sitting there after my meditation this morning on the love sack, and I'm like, oh my God, I finished meditating like 15 minutes ago and I'm just scrolling through Instagram. The short-term attention span, like, economy that we're living in has made it really hard to stay focused on something.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's like, you even see it with like different marketing now. Like, I love business. I love, like, studying businesses and stuff. And you see how that's even changed with their content. It's like, how can we get people locked in on this content in the next 10 seconds or we're going to lose them? Like,
right.
Like, honestly, it's like dumb. Like, people have gone dumb, literally. And I think that's why discipline is even more important nowadays, more than ever. And I think when we're talking about focus, and I think that discipline does come into the focus aspect of things, I think that you need to understand as well that if you are trying to assign this discipline to focusing in on what you're doing, understand that, you're not going to be this disciplined individual every day where you're able to focus at your highest level every single day. It's just, you're human. Like, it's just not going to happen. But discipline is really, if you're trying to become a more focused individual, or if you're trying to, develop discipline around anything, it's more about assigning enough discipline in your early days to a certain action for a long enough period of time, so that becomes a powerful habit that excels your trading. So if you can actually just assign enough discipline in the first 3 months, let's say, to just, this is the time I'm going to trade. There is no distractions. This is business, because that's exactly what this is. This is a business. Many people forget that. And if you can assign that focus to just that hour or two, you'll slowly build that habit, and it will come easier. It will come easier.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Yeah. I think this is another great thing. It's like you've been listening in on my calls with the guys today, Sean. But I had a call actually with I had a call with another Irish guy, Liam, who was speaking about before the recording started.
I know, and they're in the same town, bro. They're like right next to each other. They got to link up. It's crazy.
You definitely got to connect. Yeah, he's such a cool guy, Liam. I really have so much time for him, and a great trader too. So we were speaking today on our call, and basically we were speaking about decision making and focus, essentially. And I was saying to him, what are your more poorer days? We're going over some of his daily report cards, or stuff that he had written down, and his poorer trading days have been days where he either the night before was out late, or drinking, having alcohol till late in the morning, early hours of the morning, didn't go to bed on time, and then comes to the desk the next day and he's completely out of routine and lack of focus. That's when his worst days are. You just don't have a read on the market. So I was speaking to him. I was like, what separates a great trader, a trader that's going to go on and make $1 million in a trading year plus, and a trader that's going to, maybe hover around break even or make money, but not going to be one of those super 10-figure plus traders, right? Is decision making. Everybody can read once you've got a trading plan, and you know what your edge is, and you know what your entry is. You can read an 8 and 21 EMA crossover, right? Everybody can do that. It's the decision making. What separates? Why did you trade well this day compared to 3 days ago? Oh, well, because the day that you traded poorly on, you woke up, you didn't shower before your trading session, you came to the charts just expecting to just put on a trade and make money. There's no clear thought process into it. And I was speaking to him through this of how I found this extreme focus in the last 4 to 5 months of my trade since the start of the year. I've just found this extreme sense of focus. And I was saying to him, like, I'm planning my trades the night before they even happen. I know I've got a plan when I come to the desk the next day. I know what I'm doing. I don't come to the desk guessing what I'm going to do. I already know what pairs I'm looking at and I know what direction I want to trade them in. If it doesn't plan out that day, then it doesn't give me signs and I don't trade them. But if it does, I'm already well positioned in my mind is already in the frame of mind that I know what I need to be doing and I know what I need to be doing to execute. Because it's one thing, as I said, anybody can analyze a chart. A seventh grader can analyze a chart and tell you, okay, this Euro USD could be going up in the next 3 days, for example's sake. But the difference between an analyst and a trader is we actually have to execute. We have to get the timing right too. We have to get the direction and the timing. And the timing is the hardest part, especially as a day trader, because we have to be so focused at the desk with our decision making. And I think we had one of our best calls today. And we were just speaking about focus and decision making. That's literally the separator between a great trader and a losing trader. Or a great trader and an average trader is your decision making at the desk. One day you make great decisions, the next day you like, what the hell did I just do? Because it's your focus at the desk and you're not prepared. So I think that was
very well said,
I completely agree. Because even it's funny that you say that. There was only a student of mine who messaged me there this morning, and a lot of the things that I've been focusing in on this year specifically is selectivity in my trading. Doing less, getting more, less amount of input, more amount of output, or max amount of output. And one thing that, this specific guy, was saying to me was he's really, kind of copped on to how important selectivity is. But he would always struggle with, not taking a trade setup, one day or for 2-3 days and kind of sees an opportunity that he should have taken or felt like he should have taken. And, I think that comes down to like an identity crisis almost with what you believe a trader to be. And I said to him, I was like, the best way I can explain this to you is I'm in the business of making good decisions. You're in the business of making trades. There is a complete difference there. There's a
say that again. So everybody's listening. Say that again. That's good, bro.
I'm in the trade of I'm in the business of making good decisions. You're in the business of taking trades. And that's the difference. And when you start to realize that, the identity of a trader is to make good decisions, you'll start focusing in on everything that influences those decisions, down to your sleep, down to your lifestyle choices, down to your day-to-day process of when it comes to, generating a trade idea. Like you said, James, you're now, every night you kind of know what you're looking for. I'm the exact same. My entire process has changed. If you talked to me last August, I was trading nearly every session. Sometimes I was getting up for Asian session, and I had some amazing results. But that's very, very short-lived. You can't keep making good decisions when you have to be dialed in for so long. And you start to see your performance drop down and everything else. And you have to kind of bring yourself back and realize, okay, if this is the game, or if this is the business of making good decisions, am I able to make good decisions doing these sort of hours? No, I can't. I'm much better off focusing on 2 hours of the day where I know anyway 80% of my results are coming from, because I journal and have my statistics. Much better off doing that, and I can decide to go off, work with other businesses and things like that, or I can go off and play golf for the day, or something else I want to do. It also gives you, like, people nearly give themselves another 9-to-5 job coming into trading, when really, a lot of us here, I think you guys are the same, we're trading to live, not living to trade. That's
another one-liner. Good one.
Yeah.
Good one. It's good. It's true. It's very true. Give us real quick. I'd like to hear a little bit about this, Sean. Like daily routine. What's it look like for you? Trading London session in Ireland. Walk us through that.
Yes. So pretty boring, to be honest.
That's what I want you to say. That's the information I want to give to the listeners, because I think everybody thinks it's glitz and glamour, high rolling lifestyle. So I'd like you to bring them down from outer space, if you don't mind.
Quite honestly, if I was to do a day in the live video, it would be like, honestly, it would be getting up at 6 o'clock. Get 6 o'clock. I take my time. I get up just a little bit earlier than I have to, because if I'm rushing, just extra stress. Come to the office a little bit.
Terrible way to start the day.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather get up, have my coffee, whatever. Take my time. I get to the office then about 10 to 7 in here, trading from 7 to around 10. And if I have any admin work, if any of the other businesses and things I'm involved with need any work, I'm lucky enough for them to be automated or have great people basically running them for me. And, you know, checking with students, things like that, all within those hours. If there's no trades there at all, that day will be shortened a lot more. And then really it's up to me then what I want to do with the rest of my day. And that's, you know, it's gym, stuff like that. But it doesn't really get that much more exciting. I'm sorry to tell you.
That's okay.
I think people's you know, picture things that I'm probably going out and popping champagne bottles or something like that. But, yeah, like it's pretty boring. It's, you know, doing the basics that need to be done, and after that, it's up to me what I want to do with my time. You know, and that's why I got into this game, to be honest, in the first place.
So then what's next? Because now if you've got the routine, you've gotten to the point where you feel really comfortable with the way that you trade. What are you doing? What are big goals for you this year? Are you content and sitting complacent? Or are you looking to scale, add new strategies? Like, what are you doing now? Because we've talked about like what you've done to get to this point. Now let's give the people more of like, okay, when I get to that point, and maybe there's listeners here that are already at the same point, they're doing well, but they don't know how to get to the next level. Talk about like, not that you know the answer to that for everybody, of course, no one does, but like, what are you doing? What are your big goals going forward now at this point?
So at the moment, I suppose trading wise, kind of like I mentioned a minute ago, it's like focusing in on selectivity of my trades. It's a really, really big part of my trading at the moment. You know, I'm want to really focus in on the trading opportunities that are providing me with the most amount of return from my playbook, that I can, you know, really assign enough risk to comfortably than other trades. Meaning that the time I'm at the charts, that I'm actually getting paid sufficiently enough for that. Okay. That is a really, really big part of my trading at the moment. Because really, when you start running with the statistics and looking over your performance, say over the last 6 months or so, you will realistically, for a large majority of people, they'll realize that a lot of their results are coming from a few basic setups. And I think you put out a great YouTube video about how to pass, you know, the funding challenges. And one of the most amazing things that I took away from that was, and that I thought, you know, people should take away, is that you have a very clear picture of what your A, B, C setups are. And you understand that if you dial in on those A setups, you know, and if you know how many you have on average in a month, you know how much risk you can assign to it, and you know the basic average play out of that, you're putting the odds much more in your favor betting on those setups for that specific challenge than trying to trade the ABC setups. Because what happens here now, if you're in a challenge, for example, and your C setups have like a 20% win rate or a 10% win rate, and they're just eating up all the performance from your 1A setup trade, for example, okay? So that's why selectivity has been a really, really big thing for my trading at the moment. And I'd say that's the number one goal, my one thing. At the same time, you know, I'm always, you know, testing some sort of idea, you know, something will come up. I think I have right here. This is my big ideas booklet and small little book. And basically what happens in this is anytime I'm scrolling through the charts, you might say something today. I might be reading about something or listening to a podcast, and might spark an idea where I'm like, you know, I could test something there. There could be edge there. And that goes in this book. And when I have time, I'll go and test it, and I'll crunch the numbers, I'll work with the statistics, and I'll go from there. So, you know, really that's kind of my goal at the moment, selectivity. And I've kind of a few things that I keep more private for now. But you know, definitely kind of building up more on the private investment side of things as well is a big focus of mine at the moment. But before diving deeper into that, it's about selectivity, you know, and really diving in on what's providing those great returns.
I love that. That's awesome. Sean, this has been incredible, bro. I feel like this hour just flew by. I do have a hard stop for another meeting. So final question for you, unless James, did you have anything chomping at the bit?
No, I think he's answered quite a few good questions. Yeah.
No, and given some really good information, Sean. This is a good first podcast for people to be introduced to you, I think. When you look around now, Sean, this is my last question for you. Can you give one or two people that you look up to, that you would say new traders, struggling traders should look to? Anybody like that has like a really strong like reputation, some of the market wizards, anybody that you look to that maybe some people could go do some research on?
Ooh, that's a
That's a
that's a
tough one.
yeah, it's a tough one. I suppose. Look, I don't have anyone specifically in mind, that jumps ahead that I'd say, just run here.
But you like business. So you probably would say like you mentioned Alex Hormozy already, somebody like that, and take some
Yeah,
of their mindset stuff and apply it into trading, right?
yeah. So if it's not trading related, personally, I love Alex Hormozy. I love his mindset, his view on things. And I think he's had a very like similar viewpoint on things, that if you simplify shit, you understand shit, and then shit becomes easier,
Dude, I listen to his podcast all the time. It's so good. It's just
Oh, his mindset is honestly brilliant, because what I find is that he'll take a subject that a lot of us will overthink so
yes.
much,
Yes.
and he'll remind you of the simplicity of it. And I think if you want, like, when you're looking for someone as a mentor, if you're looking for someone at the moment to really help you with your trading, look for someone who's able to really simplify things, but show you that what really matters is the detail within that simplicity. And people who talk about the details with a simple but consistent process, honestly, they're the ones I trust. Like yourselves, you have your A2 strategies, and I'm not too sure of the other names, but from what I've seen, it's a consistent process. You arrive to the desk, you know what you want. These are the sort of people that you want to be looking at the end of the day.
Yeah. Dude,
So yeah.
great answer. And you're really well spoken, Sean. I'm really looking forward to more content from you. And I think everybody listening to this podcast would agree with me. And they're probably also looking forward to that. So where do we want to send them? Twitter, Instagram for now? YouTube?
Yeah, I suppose Instagram, at ConquerFX.
I'll put links in the description, everybody, too, so you can click right on those links.
Yeah, I've only kind of dived into Twitter, I suppose, in the last few months, and YouTube. Twitter's a whole different world.
A whole different beast, bro. Be ready to block people,
world.
be ready to mute people, be ready to it's crazy. Twitter's crazy. But yeah, we'll link everything down below for you, and everybody can connect with you there. And then maybe we'll have you back on later this year, circle up, see how the year's going, stuff like that. I think there's probably some people listening that have more questions for you. So everybody who has listened all the way through or watched all the way through, comment on YouTube, shoot me a DM, shoot me an email, whatever you want to do. Let me know what questions you want us to ask Sean next time he comes on. But this has been great, bro. I really appreciate the time. James, thank you very much as he's chugging his coffee. I appreciate you, bro. It's always a good time when we sit down to chat. And for our listeners, we really appreciate you as well. Make sure you leave a review, subscribe, the whole thing. We really appreciate that. And we will see you guys in the next episode. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, James.